Hey, Impressive Chessers! Today we're going to go over one of my favorite lessons. It's the lesson of the Tired Queen and also the phases of a chess player. Alright, so we're going to be black in this lesson, in this video. They start out with e4, best by test, e5, staying alive, and alright, especially a bunch of the kid people watching this video will know this move. This is the start of the 4-move checkmate. So hopefully you guys know what to do here. My favorite move is to come here with the knight and simply guard the pawn and develop a piece. So that's got to be a great move. They go bishop to c4, and first question, what should we play here? I know this might seem kind of basic to some of you, but it's important to know why we're playing the move and what a good move is here. All right, if you said knight to f6, normally you would be right, but in this case, you just fell for the 4-move checkmate. The bishop's guarding the queen, so the king cannot take that, and the rest is history. All right, so now that we know what their threat is, so by the way, if you played that knight to f6 move, you are in phase 1, at least for that move. That means you are not even paying attention to what your opponent's doing. Shame on you. Just kidding. Let's watch on and see how we can get to phase 2 and 3 and 4. All right. By the way, there's only 4. All right, so we got knight to f6 does not work. If you did knight to h6, all right, you guarded the pawn this time. Yay. That's good. Bad news, though. They can open up their bishop, get rid of your knights. Also, our knight on the side is not happy. There's a saying in chess, knights are afraid of heights, or knights on the rim are dim or grim. Any one of those, basically your knights lose half their power when they're on the side of the board. And they lose a lot of their power if they're in the corner, actually. That's the worst square for them to be, power-wise. They're only hitting 2 squares. All right, so anyways, let's go over this move. We certainly have to stop this powerful threat. First thing we would look at is checks, but no checks for us, darn. So, and we need to stop this threat because that's a checkmate threat. So my favorite way to do this is to attack the queen. And obviously the queen can't jump over a pawn. The bishop takes the pawn. The king now protects the pawn. And everybody's happy. So the queen should probably go to f3. So she runs over to f3. By the way, she's already moved twice. So let's keep track of that because this is the lesson of the Tired Queen. All right, again, if you did some move like, let's bring out my bishop. Yay! You just got checkmated. Darn it! So that was a phase 1 move again. That is no good. All right, if you did... Okay, I see your threat. I'm going to let this bishop shoot right through my kingdom, but hey, at least I didn't get checkmated. Not great chess either. It's definitely better than getting checkmated, but still not what we would like to do. Now, the phase 3 move is... Well, you guys can pause your videos if you want to try it yourself. All right, it is knight to f6. You develop the knight and you stop their threat at the same time. So phase 3 is do a move you would basically want to do anyways, but also stop their threat. So this is basically like one of the top moves I would want to play anyways, and it just so happens that it stops the queen from going into that weak f7 pawn. We call him Little Freddy. All right, and now if white had played a good move like knight to e2, white is actually no longer threatening anything. Their only kind of threat is that, but that's guarded. The queen's threatening our knight, but again, guarded. So those are no good. They're not threatening anything. They're just developing a piece, which is good. That's why it has the exclamation point. That means we get to do whatever we want also. So let's look at our pieces. Let's see which one is not participating in the battle and where a good square for them to develop themselves is. All right, I have a lot of students that say bishop to c5. This is a really good idea. It develops the bishop. We're ready to castle. The only problem is we've created a lot of dark square weaknesses over here. So I would much prefer if we've already played this G6 move. And we played this G6 move with tempo, by the way, to kick the queen away and stop her from checkmating us. I would prefer to clog up that hole and simply develop the bishop right to there. And then the game might continue d3 and castle and check out this defense that, Black has set up. So this king is guarding all these squares. The rook is guarding that. The king is guarding that. The king is guarding that. The bishop's guarding that. The bishop's guarding that. The bishop's guarding that. These guys are all guarding each other. This knight is guarding that. That is going to be a lot of things for white to try to get through to checkmate this king. And this is actually so famously strong for your king's protection that it's called building a house. So that's how common and good this structure is. And all right, and yeah, black has a slight advantage, which is obviously a really good thing on move. This is move 6, by the way, to have a slight advantage with black already. All right, but that's not what white did. White did not do the good developing knight to e2 move. Instead, they went queen to b3. Now, definitely pause your videos here. What should black play here? All right. Hopefully you were not doing the phase 1 move of bishop to g7. You just threw away a pawn with check, and even though it's not that good for white, there was a much stronger move that black could have played. All right. So the other moves you might think of were phase 2 move. We stopped the attack. But we also kind of blocked in our bishop, although, like we said, our bishop's probably going to g7 anyways. So this is a strong move. It's not the best, but it's strong. Maybe you were thinking of, let's stop this threat while developing a piece. So that would be a really good move. Pawn to d5. It blocks the bishop. Yeah, and it controls the middle some more, and it opens up our bishop. Very strong move. Good job. But still, you did not find the best move, which is a phase 4 move, which we have not talked about yet, which is phase 4 is finding a way to do your favorite move and ignoring their threat. So you see their threats. You're not phase 1 just totally missing their threat, but you're like, my move is so good that I'm going to ignore your threat and just do my move anyways. And that move is knight to d4. I'm going to give this one double exclams, actually. So the knight jumps in there, and white says, they did not see my threat. This must be a phase 1 player. But actually, little did they know, black had seen ahead, and they're saying, you know what? I've got some pretty spicy attacks here. How are you going to save your queen and still guard your bishop? And so white says, obviously, I'll just go here. I'm still guarding my pawn, I'm still guarding my bishop, and my queen is safe right where it is. So then black comes out here. And now white should just abandon their pawn, or sorry, get away from the pawn and abandon their bishop. But they just, I think they got kind of discouraged and angry. And they said, you know what? I'm going to check this king. And the king's like, well, you know what? I wanted to move anyways. And peekaboo. Discovered attack on the queen. And the queen's like, oh my gosh, I need to keep on protecting that pawn. And she moves here for, I believe, the 6th time of the game. And it's only move 9. That is not what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to move your piece maybe twice at the most, preferably once, unless you have some really cool reason to do so. And black is just having fun attacking this queen and playing this awesome bishop to b4. Decoy sacrifice, trying to get that queen to take that bishop, but that would be a mistake because of, pause your videos if you haven't seen it yet. Boo! It's a family fork. Ouch! The king and the queen and the rook are all attacked. It's really just a royal fork, which is king and queen, because you're almost always going to take a 9-point piece over a 5-point piece, and that's what black would do. and they would have a huge advantage. So that's why the queen is getting pretty tired. She moves for the 7th time. She says, oh my gosh, I'm getting attacked. I can't take that bishop. Obviously, she couldn't take the knight because it was guarded there. Pawn comes into the game. All these pieces are like, let me in. And white says, no. I'm taking the pawn. Here we go. Black says, all right, well, if you're going to be greedy, I'm going to attack your tired queen again. And she moves. For the 8th time, she finds a safe place. And now, by the way, black could just simply take that pawn, forking the king and the rook, which would be a great move. But they played another good move, which was knight over to the side, where knights are afraid of heights, but it has a reason. It's attacking that queen. And the queen actually only has 2 safe places to go. There and there. Because of look at all these lasers shooting all over the place for this poor queen. She can't take her pawns, obviously. The knight's hitting that. The bishop's hitting that. This bishop's hitting that and that. This bishop's hitting that. We've already said that one. Can't go there. So yeah, like I said, those 2 green squares are only safe. Oh, the knight's hitting that. Safe places to go. She doesn't want to get here to get family forked again. So she decides to take the pawn on e5. Woohoo! And actually, white has taken 3 pawns. Black has taken 1 bishop. But you know what? The score is saying the real story. That black is just totally winning here. Because they have a huge lead in development. Also, black has a pretty monster move right here. Let's see if you guys can see it. Pause the videos if you haven't yet. All right, hopefully you said rook to e8 with an absolute pin down the e file. The queen is not allowed to, like, for instance, take the knight because that would be an illegal move. You cannot expose your king. So she was like, well, if I'm going to go down, I'm going to go down fighting. So her 10th move of this so far 14 move game, that is not a good percentage of single piece moves, was taking the rook. I'm going to get rid of this actually because there was really nothing better actually for white. And all right, so we're in check. Don't make the big mistake of thinking you have to move your king when you're in check. Just simply take the queen. It's the best way to get out of check is to take out the attacker if you have a good one. And white said, okay, I'm in check, so I'm going to block with a bodyguard. I do not want to run like a chicken. It's actually not their best move technically, but it was quite bad for white anyways. And what was the final move of the game? The most common checkmate in chess, the in-your-face checkmate. The knight guards the queen. All the queen needs is a single piece guarding it. And if she's right in front of the king's face, on the back or on the side of the board, she does the rest. And that's why that's the most common checkmate in chess. All right, guys. Hope you learned a lot. Thanks for watching. Please remember to like and subscribe. And if you can, share with a friend.